जय जय चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद, जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानजालशालाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयबताकस्वामिनिति नाम्नि नमः। आचार्यपदाय निताय कृपाप्रदायिने गौरकथा दामदाय नगरग्रामतारिणि नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नाम्नि नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत आदि लीला चैप्टर 2 टेक्स्ट 87, राइट?
यस माता जी।
विरुद्धार्थकः तुमि कहिते कर रोषा, तुम्हारा अर्थे अविमृष्टा Videyam Shadhosha. You say something contradictory and become angry when this is pointed out. Your explanation as the defect of a misplaced object. This is an unconsidered objection. Unconsidered adjustment. So, as mentioned, Sri Krishna, establishing Krishna as the Supreme Person. You say something contradictory and become angry when this is pointed out. Your explanation as the defect of a misplaced object. This is an unconsidered adjustment. So the Bhagavatam, mistakes, illusions, cheating, and defective perception do not occur in the sayings of the authoritative sages. And so without that, then whatever we say, there's no point in getting angry. It has the defect of a misplaced object. Okay. Yanra Bhagavata Haite Anyera Bhagavata Swayam Bhagavan Shabdera Tahate Isatta. Only the personality of Godhead, the source of all other divinities, is eligible to be designated Swayam Bhagavan, or the primeval Lord. Deepa haite yeche bahu deepera jvalana mula eka deepa taha kariye ganana. When from one candle many others are lit, I consider that one the original. The Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, verse 46 states that the Vishnu Tattva, or the principle of the absolute personality of Godhead, is like a lamp because the expansions equal their origin in all respects. Very good analogy. A burning lamp can light innumerable other lamps that are not inferior, but still one lamp must be considered the original. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself in the preliminary forms of the Vishnu Tattva. But although they are equally powerful, the original powerful personality of Godhead is considered the source. This example also explains the appearance of qualitative incarnations like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, Shambhostu Tamo Dishtantavat Tavat Kajjalamaya Sukshma Deepas Shikastanyasya Na Tatha Samyam. The Shambhu Tattva, or the principle of Lord Shiva, is like a lamp covered with carbon because of his being in charge of the mode of ignorance. The illumination from such a lamp is very minute. Therefore, the power of Lord Shiva cannot compare to that of the Vishnu principle. Because of the touch of Tamoguna, which is covering his original brightness. So Shiva is not equal to Vishnu only for that sake, but originally he is non-different from Krishna. But still, the original is the supreme. Taiche sab avatarera Krishna se karana ara eka shloka shuna Kuvyakya Kandhana. Krishna, in the same way, is the cause of all causes and all incarnations. Please hear another verse to defeat all misinterpretations. Atra sargo vishargascha sthanam poshanam utaya manvantare shanu tata nirodho muktir ashraya dashamasya vishuddhi artam navanam iha lakshanam varnayanti mahatmana shrutenartena chanjasa. Here in Bhagavatam, 10 subjects are described. So, what are in the Bhagavatam 10 subjects? First, the creation of the ingredients of the cosmos, which is done by the Lord Himself. Then, the creations of Brahma. Brahma also subsidiary creations of Brahma, that is described. Maintenance of the creation. Then, special favor given to the faithful. 5, impetuses for activity. Prescribed duties for law-abiding men. A description of the incarnations of the Lord, the winding up of the creation, liberation from gross and subtle material existence, and the ultimate shelter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The 10th item is the shelter of all the others. To distinguish this ultimate shelter from the other 9 subjects, the Mahajanas have described these 9 directly or indirectly through prayers or direct explanation. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this verse is from 2.10.1. And this is the famous verse which gives all what are all the subject matter in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.1 lists the 10 subject matters dealt with in the text of Bhagavatam. Of course, the 10th is the substance, and the other 9 are categories derived from the substance. These 10 subjects are listed as follows. Sarga, the first creation by Vishnu, the bringing forth of the 5 gross material elements, the 5 objects of sense gratification, the 10 senses, the mind, intelligence, false ego, and the total material energy or the universal form. That is Sarga, the basic ingredients and for creation. Then Visarga, the secondary creation or the work of Brahma in producing the moving and unmoving bodies in the universe, in the Brahmanda. Then Sthanu, the maintenance of the universe by the personality of Godhead Vishnu. Vishnu's function is more important and his glory greater than Brahma's and Lord Shiva's. For although Brahma is the creator and Lord Shiva the destroyer, Vishnu is the maintainer. We know it's very difficult to maintain something. You can create something. It's only while creating you need to work, and then after that, your work is finished. Destruction is even easier. Anybody can destroy. Of course, destroying a cosmos, I mean, the whole universe is not an easy joke. Only someone of the stature of Shiva can do it. But still, it is doesn't what is that is also finished after some time. But maintenance in that long interim, you have to maintain something that only takes maximum work and patience. So Vishnu is in charge of that. Maximum knowledge also how to maintain something. Then that is sthana. Sarga, visarga, sthana is maintenance. Poshana, special care and protection for devotees of the Lord. So he's maintaining the universe, maintaining the devotees. Poshana, special care and protection for devotees by the Lord. As a king maintains his kingdom and subjects, but nevertheless gives special attention to the members of his family, so the personality of Godhead gives special care to his devotees who are souls completely surrendered to him. When we surrender, we become his family. And it's mentioned in the, which one of the Puranas, it's quoted that when a person takes initiation, then the Lord considers such a soul non-different from him. So that means he is accepting us in his family. So that is Poshana. He takes special care and protection by the Lord. Then Uti, the urge for creation or initiative power, that is the cause of all inventions according to the necessities of time, space, and objects. So, according to necessities of time, space, and objects, creation, the urge for creation or initiative power, that is the cause of all inventions according to the necessities of time, space, and objects. It's not described what is this, which aspect, urge for creation or initiative power. There is a, okay, let's see that. Then Manvantara, the regulative principles for living beings who desire to achieve perfection in human life. The rules of Manu, as described in the Manu Samhita, guide the way to such perfection. So the regulative principles of living beings are mentioned. Then Ishanukata, scriptural information regarding the personality of Godhead, his incarnations on earth, and the activities of his devotees. Scriptures dealing with these subjects are essential for progressive human life. So we need to know what is the relationship between the devotees and the Lord. So that is why there's a lot of information regarding the Lord's incarnations on the earth and how his devotees behaved with him. And then Nirodha, the winding up of all energies employed in creation. Such potencies are emanations from the personality of Godhead who eternally lies in the Karana ocean. The cosmic creation manifested with his breath are again dissolved in due course. Then Mukti, liberation of the conditioned souls encaged by the gross and subtle coverings of body and mind. When freed from all material affection, the soul, giving up the gross and subtle material bodies, can attain the spiritual sky in its original spiritual body and engage in transcendental loving service to the Lord in Vaikuntha Loka or Krishna Loka. When the soul is situated in his original constitutional position of existence, he is said to be liberated. It is possible to engage in transcendental loving service to the Lord and become Jivan Mukta, a liberated soul, even while in the material body. That's why we should not plan that, okay, when I give up my life, I'll become liberated and go back. Right now, let me enjoy. And then, and just when death is coming near, then I will surrender completely and go back to Godhead. But it is not so easy to surrender. And we cannot make such plans. And how long we are going to live is also unknown to us. And at that time, if you're not in a proper frame to surrender, and its surrendering is so difficult because Maya, we are fully in Maya, and to come out of her clutches requires a great deal of determination, the will to come out, and the desire, and to engage in Krishna's service. That desire must be very strong. Then Krishna can pull us out. And when we are dying, we'll not be thinking of all that. Who knows what we're thinking about? Think, oh, I'm leaving everyone. What will happen to this one, that one? And maybe not, or the body may be giving us so much pain that we can't think of anything else. So why take such risks? In this life only, we should become a liberated soul, even while in the material body, because we can use the body very nicely. Instead of being under the clutches of the body and having no freedom, wherever the mind tells us we are taken, we are driven. Why be under the clutches of the body and senses and the mind? Instead, we'll become victorious over it and use it in a very nice way while living also. Ashraya, the transcendence, the summum bonum, from whom everything emanates, upon whom everything rests, and in whom everything merges after annihilation. He is the source and support of all. The Ashraya is also called the Supreme Brahman, as in the Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jignasa Janmadi Asya Yataha, or the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially describes this Supreme Brahman as the Ashraya. Sri Krishna is this Ashraya, and therefore the greatest necessity of life is to study the science of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam accepts Sri Krishna as the shelter of all manifestations because Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the ultimate source of everything, the supreme goal of all. So there is two different so this is the ashraya of all the other points also. All others are resting on this of surrendering to Krishna. And that is based on this only all other things are happening. Two different principles are to be considered herein. Srimad Bhagavatam accepts Sri Krishna as the shelter of all manifestation because Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the ultimate source of everything, the supreme goal of all. Two different principles are to be considered herein, namely Ashraya, the object providing shelter, and Ashrita, the dependence requiring shelter. The Ashrita exists under the original principle, the Ashraya. The first 9 categories described in the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, from creation to liberation, including the Purusha avatars, the incarnations, the marginal energy or living entities, and the external energy or material world are all Ashrita. So first 9 chapters are only describing the Ashrita. And the prayers of Srimad Bhagavatam, however, aim for the Ashraya Tattva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. The great souls expert in describing Srimad Bhagavatam have very diligently delineated the other 9 categories, sometimes by direct narrations and sometimes by indirect narrations, such as stories. The real purpose of doing this is to know perfectly the absolute transcendent Sri Krishna. For the entire creation, both material and spiritual, rests on the body of Sri Krishna. So that is why about Krishna comes in the 10th canto. After going through all these things about creation and subsidiary creation and how Krishna is taking care of us in the material world, Poshana, and Sthana, he's also maintaining the urge for creation or initiative power that is the cause of all inventions according to the necessities of time, space, and objects. The urge for creation or initiative power. That has to be explained. I'll find out what that means, which part is being described. Then Manvantara, all the rules and regulations for living. Ishanu Katha, about the pastimes of the Lord with his devotees, which is required for us to know. And slowly winding up of all energies. And then Mukti, liberation. These are, and then finally, of course, we learn about the Ashraya, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so here also we know that Ashraya is Krishna. Ashraya janite kahi yenava padartha yenavere utpatti hetu sei ashrayartha. To know distinctly the ultimate shelter of everything that be, I have described the other 9 categories. The cause for the appearance of these 9 is rightly called their shelter. So all other things are emanating from Krishna only. And that is why he is called Ashraya. So this is also a proof that Srimad Bhagavatam, after describing everything else under the sun or above the sun, everything, then only in the 10th chapter, everything about Krishna is described. So that also shows that he is the cause of all causes, the goal of everything. Krishna eka sarvashraya, Krishna sarvadhama, Krishnera sharire sarva vishvera vishrama. The personality of God, it's Sri Krishna, is the shelter and abode of everything. All the universes rest in his body. Very valuable knowledge to know, because people sometimes won't have that faith. How do I know if I can take shelter of Krishna, my problem will be solved? We may have doubt. Say somebody is looking for a job. Now, the cause of all causes is Krishna, but what he will be seeing is the immediate cause. Immediate cause is what job opportunities are there and how much marks I've got, and whether my job is in demand right now, and who are the so many things about how I did in my interview. So we'll be meditating on all these things, and then we'll forget about Krishna, because where Krishna is there, but then these things, no material things. Now, maybe my marks are not. Some people have got. I mean, mine is not the best marks, maybe, and I don't know. Everything is unknown. You may think you've got very good marks. Maybe somebody else with better marks might arrive there, or they may ask some questions for which you don't know. Whatever, you may not do well in the interview. So many causes are, anything can happen. How can we be sure of anything? And so that X factor is Krishna. So if a person is knows for sure is the cause of all causes, then he will just leave it to Krishna. You are the cause. Do whatever, Krishna. I'll do my best, so that you cannot tell you didn't prepare properly. I'll do whatever I have to do, and then you are the cause. So we can take complete shelter of Krishna, and then we'll not be disturbed at anything. But if you are accepted also, we'll glorify Krishna. If you don't get that particular job also, we'll think, okay, Krishna's got something better for me. And it's a fact. Krishna has got a plan for all his devotees. But we have to be a devotee for that. We have to depend upon him. A devotee takes ashraya of Krishna, and always, okay, depends upon him and is satisfied with his decision, everything. And then there is no question of a feeling of anxiety. Anxiety, we are also, okay, even if the astrologer says, yeah, you'll get, but then when, we'll be asking, when, why taking so long? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Because the goal of our life is to achieve Krishna. And so, because of some difficulty, we are forced to take shelter of Krishna very much, then that itself is a very good thing that is happening, because otherwise we may not take so much shelter of Krishna. So, devotee is not disturbed. Okay, Krishna, something is not working. Let me take full shelter of you, and you can do whatever you want, because it will be best. Whatever Krishna does will be very best for us. That we should not, if we have still got some material attachments, he knows how to work on that. We don't have to be afraid and think, oh, what if Krishna does this to me and that to me, and then how will I be? He knows. That is called trust, faith, that Krishna is the super intelligent person and everything is under his control. He is the cause of all causes, and he is my best well wishing friend also. Then no need to worry about anything. So that's why it's very fundamental, essential to know that Krishna is the cause of all causes. We are so much worried about immediate causes, and we get so much bogged down by that. But if we remember the ultimate cause, okay, Krishna, you take care, then we can relax and do something worthwhile instead of getting so upset about it. Krishna eka sarvashraya, Krishna sarvadhama, Krishnera sharire sarva vishvera vishrama. The personality of God, it's Sri Krishna, is the shelter and abode of everything. All the universes rest in his body. Imagine the governance of the universe, of this universe, how complicated it must be. And it's very, very important also. Then also these devatas, Brahma, they never get flustered. Any problem, just go to Vishnu and he will give the solution. They're not okay. Sometimes they do get disturbed. Devatas, when something doesn't work, or asuras attack or something, or they made a mistake, then they're very disturbed. But they never sit and lament, or they feel hopeless, because they just go, okay, I'll go to the Brahmaji, and then Shiva is there. Vishnu, ultimately, he will solve everybody's problems. So always, even when they made a mistake, they went and go apologize. I'm very sorry, my Lord, please forgive me. And then that's it, forgiven. Indra makes all horrible mistakes. Then he takes shelter of a devotee, and the devotee goes and recommends, please forgive Indra. And then the Lord forgives. So even if we make a mistake, we can make amends for it. We don't have to worry. I might have been a most horrible sinner in my past life. Never mind. So what? You just take shelter, chant, where maybe you have to work a little extra, do more devotional service to please the Supreme Lord. That's it. And the Lord is accepting. So for a devotee, there is no problem. That's why knowing Shastra is so important, because then you can be very peaceful and happy. Everything is controlled by Krishna. So something is not working out properly. Now I will use my time for meditating on him and to achieve him. For even the greatest of devotees, they have to do some tapasya in order to achieve something. Like Prabhupada, or even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they have all come here only for Krishna's service. Still, what did they do? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, for 1 year, he sat and chanted. 1 year. Just he was sitting in one, he didn't even, one, quickly he made one kutir and he was sitting in that and chanting. And then it was leaking, made out of straw. He didn't build it and all. That even would have taken, he has to get some money and all those things. Construction worker, those days were more difficult to get cement and all these things. So he just made a straw hut and he sat inside and was chanting. And then rainy season came and it was raining heavily. How to this thing, the leaks. So he just took an umbrella and he was inside the ashram holding an umbrella, sitting and chanting. So like this for 1 full year he did. Then only all he could do so much of activities. Or Prabhupada, before he left, he used to regularly go in Shantipur, that Brahmana who's taking care of the temple, elderly person. And he said, I've seen your Prabhupada. He used to come here regularly and sit and chant whole day. And there would be tears in his eyes and all that. And then when he was in Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan also, he was writing his books. And every night he would go, and in the middle of the night, he would go and clean the samadhi place of Rupa Goswami and cry out to him, oh, please help me. Only by your mercy I can do something. So whenever there is one gap where we have to use that to pray to Krishna, that's what it's meant for, so that we can come closer to him. He is the ashraya for everyone. Dashamam lakshyam ashritashraya vigraham Sri Krishna kyam param dhama jagad dhama namami tat. The 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam reveals the 10th object, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of all surrendered souls. He is known as Sri Krishna and is the ultimate source of all the universes. Let me offer my obeisances unto him. This quotation comes from Sridhara Swami's commentary on the first verse of the 10th canto, chapter 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam. He is the ultimate source of all the universes. Krishnera Swarupa Ara Sakritya Shakti Traya Jnana Yandra Haya Tandra Nahi Krishnete Aj Ajnana. One who knows the real feature of Sri Krishna and his three different energies cannot remain ignorant about him. Srila Jiva Goswami states in his Bhagavata Sandarbha 16 that by his potencies, which act in natural sequences beyond the scope of the speculative human mind, the supreme transcendence, the summum bonum, eternally and simultaneously exists in four transcendental features: his personality, his impersonal effulgence, his potential parts and parcels, that is, the living beings, and the principal cause of all causes. The supreme whole is compared to the sun, which also exists in four features, namely the personality of the sun god, the glare of his glowing sphere, the sun rays inside the sun planet, and the sun's reflection in many other objects. So that is the same thing. Krishna exists in four features, namely his personality, he himself, and his impersonal effulgence, Brahman, his potential parts and parcels, that is the living uh, beings, and the principal cause of all causes. Everything is emanating from him. So that is, so if whatever you see is this expansion. So in the same way that the sun exists in four features, namely the personality of sun god, the glare of his glowing sphere, which is compared to Brahman, the sun rays inside the sun planet, comparable to the living entities inside the sun rays inside the sun planet, and the sun's reflections in many other objects. So, whatever we see, we may think, oh, this is a separate light and all that, but that is all causes the sun. Light is all coming from the sun only. So, in the same way, that is the analogy. The ambition to corroborate the existence of the transcendental absolute truth by limited conjectural endeavors cannot be fulfilled because he is beyond the scope of our limited speculative minds. Impossible to think ourselves and try to understand Krishna. He has to be revealed. In an honest search for truth, we must admit that his powers are inconceivable to our tiny brains. The exploration of space has demanded the work of the greatest scientists of the world. Yet there are countless problems regarding even fundamental knowledge of the material creation that bewilder scientists who confront them. Such material knowledge is far removed from the spiritual nature, and therefore the acts and arrangements of the absolute truth are beyond all doubts inconceivable. So this is the difference between modern material science and knowledge given by Krishna in the Vedas. This because Vedas is apauruseya. It is not the workings of human mind and intelligence. And modern knowledge, academics, is all about the work of the scientists and understanding everything which is created by man. And that is not enough to understand um, that there are so many problems. I mean, they cannot explain everything, and they're really bewildered by so many problems. Um, then, but on the other hand, what is coming from the Vedas, perfect. No more, there is no need of any addition. Everything that is required for us is given. There is no need of any addition or any change. That is absolute truth. And so we don't need to speculate what could be the thing and so on. And all the powers are very divine. And by chanting mantras, you can do amazing things. That is real knowledge. This speculative thing and then coming to know the laws of this material world, limited impact. And it's not enough also. It keeps, see, for example, we are just depending on our own effort to grow food, get all the metals and everything about our maintenance, everything we ourselves will do. So it is slowly depleting. The resources are slowly depleting, and then everything is working, going down, and constantly we have scarcity because we think we can manage everything. On the other hand, if we take the Vedic lifestyle, recite what Krishna is saying, chant mantras, do yajnas, then everything will keep, you know, whatever is required is provided in abundance. That is how all the thing Vedic scriptures describe how they lived, and they had everything through mystic power, through chanting mantras. They could create big, big things. So that knowledge we don't know. And through just this kind of using our minds, we cannot study that. That is why it required great self control, mind and senses under control, and then spiritually advanced people could study Brahmanas. The primary potencies of the absolute truth are mentioned to be three: internal, external, and marginal. By the acts of his internal potency, the personality of Godhead in its original form exhibits the spiritual cosmic manifestations known as the eternal Vaikuntha Lokas, which exist eternally, even after the destruction of the material cosmic manifestation. By his marginal potency, the Lord expands himself as living entities who are part of him, just as the sun distributes his rays in all directions. By his external potency, the Lord manifests the material creation, just as the sun with its rays creates fog. The material creation is but a perverse reflection of the eternal Vaikuntha nature. These three energies of the absolute truth are also described in the Vishnu Purana, where it is said that the living being is equal in quality to the internal potency, whereas the external potency is indirectly controlled by the chief cause of all causes. Maya, the illusory energy, misleads the living being as fog misleads the pedestrian by blocking off the light of the sun. Although the potency of Maya is inferior in quality to the marginal potency, which consists of the living beings who are part and parcel of the Lord, it nevertheless has the power to control the living beings, just as fog can block the actions of a certain portion of sun's rays. Although it cannot cover the sun, the living beings covered by the illusory energy evolve in different species of life with bodies ranging from that of an insignificant ant to that of Brahma, the constructor of the cosmos. The Pradhana, the chief cause of all causes in the impersonal vision, is none other than the Supreme Lord, whom one can see face to face in the internal potency. He takes so we are worshipping every day the internal potency, which is Gadadhar Pandit, Radharani, this thing. So we have to get into that internal potency because our soul is in the internal potency, but now we are covered by external potency. And that's why she covers like the fog. She's covering us from seeing the supreme personality of Godhead. Just like when the cloud fog comes, we can't see the sun. It doesn't mean the sun doesn't exist or the sun has become invisible. Sun is there. We are not able to see. This is what Prabhupada said. Don't think that Krishna has become invisible. Krishna is here, but your eyes you're not able to see because you're covered by Maya, or you have a cataract which covers the vision, and you have to remove it, do surgery. Although all three potencies, namely internal, external, and marginal, are essentially one in the ultimate issue, they are different in action, like electrical energy, which can produce both cold and heat under different conditions. Uh, the external and marginal potencies are called so called under various conditions, but in the original internal potencies, there are no such conditions. nor is it possible for the conditions of the external potency to exist in the marginal or vice versa. One who's able to understand the intricacies of all these energies of the Supreme Lord can no longer remain an empiric impersonalist under the influence of a poor fund of knowledge. So, so the energies are clearly described, and who's the supreme person, and all these intricacies we keep hearing. Prabhupada has taught us many, many times. So it has to get into our heads. It must be there. And but only thing is we have to realize it, and we have to cry to the Lord, please take me from Mahamaya to Yoga Maya, internal, from external energy to internal energy. And that is under the internal energy is coming from Srimati Radharani, the Yogamaya potency. And by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, we are slowly going from the external energy to internal energy. And that is why we have to chant with a lot of attention and deep prayer. Please pull me out of this external energy to internal energy. That's the only hard work we need to do. Everything else the Lord is doing. Everything. He is the most hardworking person. He doesn't have to exert himself. He just wills it and it happens. So everything is happening by his mercy only. And we simply have to decide which way we want to go. We want to be in external energy or internal energy. See, we're all very spoiled children of Krishna's, right? We have to only desire and we have to think about him. And we have to tell Krishna, whatever you want, please tell me how I should do it. We ask him. That's all. Everything else is done by Krishna and he engages us. We should be ready to do whatever he wants. Not that we go to sleep, but we do work, but according to the way Krishna wants. That is the only thing. We have to give up our independence and accept that I'm part and parcel of Krishna, such an intimate part of Krishna. And I have to do the way he wants naturally. Part has to go according to the whole, not the other way around. Then once we understand this, that is when we'll have complete knowledge and happiness, ananda. Krishnera swarupera haya shadvida vilasa prabhava vaibhava rupe dvivida prakasha. The personality of God, it's Sri Krishna, enjoys himself in 6 primary expansions. And his 2 manifestations are Prabhava and Vaibhava. Now the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita turns to a description of the personality of Godhead Krishna in his numerable expansions. They just broadly classified 3 things, energies of the Lord. There are so many Shaktis. That's another part. Then now they're telling about Krishna himself. The Lord primarily expands himself in 2 categories, namely Prabhava and Vaibhava. The Prabhava forms are fully potent, like Sri Krishna, and the Vaibhava forms are partially potent. The Prabhava forms are manifested in relation with potencies, but the Vaibhava forms are manifested in relation with excellences. The potent Prabhava manifestations are also of 2 varieties, temporary and eternal. The Mohini, Hamsa, and Shukla forms are manifested only temporarily in terms of a particular age. Among the other Prabhavas, so there is no Mohini avataram in the spiritual world. Oh, I like Mohini avataram, so I'll go and live there. No, that is only temporary. The Mohini, the Hamsa avatar also, and Shukla forms are manifested only temporarily in terms of a particular age. Among the other Prabhavas who are not very famous according to material estimation are Dhanvantri, Rishabha, Vyasa, Dattatreya, and Kapila. Among the Vaibhava Prakasha forms are Kurma, Matsya, Naranarayana, Varaha, Hayagriva, Prishnigarbha, Valadeva, Yagnya, Vibhu, Satyasena, Hari, Vaikunta, Ajita, Vamana, Sarvabhauma, Rishabha, Vishwaksena, Dharmasetu, Sudhama, Yogeshwara, and Brihad Banu. Okay, so the Lord in six. Okay, there are six primary expansions. Lord Krishna enjoys himself in six primary expansions. What are they? We know Gunavatara, um, Sat, Leela then what is that? Leela Avatara, Purusha Avataras, Satyavesha Avatara, and what is Manvantara Avatara. So six
Yuga Avatar.
Avataras. So six primary expansions. And its two manifestations are Prabhava and Vaibhava. So that is Prabhava. The Prabhava forms are fully potent like Sri Krishna, and Vaibhava forms are partially potent. The Prabhava forms are manifested in relation with potencies. Okay, but the Vaibhava forms are manifested in relation with excellences. So the Prabhava forms, like that is, they have the same potency as Krishna, whereas you have this Vaibhava forms, they are particularly good in one particular thing. Something has to be done then in relation with excellences. And the potent Prabhava manifestations are also of two varieties, temporary and eternal. The Mohini, Hamsa, and Shukla forms are manifested only temporarily in terms of a particular age. Among the other Prabhavas, who are not very famous, according to the material estimation, are the list that I read out. So the Prabhava, the potent forms, are divided into eternal and temporary. Only those three, I mean, the ones which are not eternal are a few, but the vast majority are eternal. Then, among the Vaibhava Prakasha forms are Kurma, Matsya, Naranarayana, and all that in relation with excellences, potency, and excellence. How they can get, how excellent is their whatever they do. And the other one is potency. We have to wait, let's see. So the Vilasa forms are partial, right? Prabhava and Prabhava and Vaibhava. So Vaibhava are partial potency. Prabhava has full potency. Okay, then we have Vilasa. His incarnations are of two kinds, namely partial and empowered. He appears in two ages, childhood and boyhood. The Vilasa forms are six in numbers. Incarnations are of two varieties, namely Shaktya-vesha, empowered, and Amsha-vesha, partial. So there are partial incarnations are there, and Satyavesha are any living entity being empowered. These incarnations also come within the category of Prabhava and Vaibhava manifestations. So those are the first two categories, Prabhava and Vaibhava. So what is Prabhava? Fully potent, like Krishna, Vishnu Tattva. Vaibhava is only partial potency. Childhood and boyhood are two special features of the personality of God in Sri Krishna, but his permanent feature in his eternal form as an adolescent youth. The original personality of God in Sri Krishna is always worshipped in this eternal adolescent form, Nava Yauvana. So we have the Vilasa forms, the Satyavesh forms, and Amshavesha, partial. These incarnations also come within the category of Prabhava and Vaibhava manifestations. Okay. Kishora Swarupa Krishna Swayam Avatari Krida Kare Yei Chaya Rupe Vishwabhari. The personality of God is Sri Krishna, who is eternally an adolescent, is the primeval Lord, the source of all incarnations, to the Supreme Himself, the source of all incarnations. He expands Himself in these 6 categories of forms to establish His supremacy throughout the universe. So in His primeval form, He is Krishna Himself, and then He expands Himself in these various categories of avatars. Okay, we'll stop now. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments?
Mataji, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Very thankful for today's nectarian class. Mataji, I have one understanding. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So, like Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they are Krishna's internal Parshad, and they were capable of propagating Krishna consciousness without doing this austerity, like what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was doing in the Kutir, as you mentioned, for 1 year. And Prabhupada went to that temple, cleaning everything. I think why they were doing is, in my opinion, is to teach us the lesson condition, so that this is how one can cultivate the bhakti.
Yes, of course. Because to set an example, if they just came and did mystically and went, we won't know how to do, isn't it?
Yes,
They could have just come mystically, done everything and left, and then we'll all be stuck. We won't know how to come to that platform. So that is why they lived among us and behaved like us, did everything, which is an example for us.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. That is what I also think is Prabhupada could have completed all cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, but he did like 10th canto, another from 10th canto, like he allowed his disciples to do, so that disciples because Guru also gives credit
Only
to the
one
disciple.
disciple wrote it on
One
behalf of
disciple.
all other
So,
disciples. They gave him the empowerment. Hridayananda Goswami.
yes, Mataji. So just to give the credit and to his disciple, that is what he's done. Otherwise, he could have completed everything before he departed.
Yes. That
Yes.
is why he didn't complete the whole thing. Now, many times I've felt, you, Prabhupada, you should have lived a little longer now. We really, things would have been better. But because so many people are there, everyone would have followed him only. There wouldn't have been so many problems which happened in the beginning. But then Prabhupada left in order to leave some work for others, because basically it is seva, right? Krishna himself can do everything. He doesn't need us. He is doing it because that is the way of exchange of love. We do something to satisfy Krishna. So he allowed seva. Okay, you all also do for Krishna. That is
Yes,
how
Mataji.
seva is. It is not for saying I only did it or anything like that. Prabhupada, it is seva to Krishna. He came only for Krishna's sake. Otherwise, he didn't even want to come here. Prabhupada, Krishna said, no, you go. I will do everything. You simply be there. So he came. He revealed what is his eternal relation over there. He said, I just enjoy putting all luglus in my pocket and running with all the cowherd boys. That is what I'll enjoy. I didn't want to come here. But Krishna sent him. And so everything we do is in relation to Krishna only. He didn't think, I must go, Krishna, I'll go to the earth and save them. We can think also, not wrong, like Prahlad Maharaj, Narsimadev told him, okay, whatever you want, anything. He said, I don't want liberation for myself, or, going back to Godhead, leaving behind all the people who are suffering in this material world. There are some souls like that. And Prabhupada is also in different universe. I mean, yeah, different planets in this universe. Somewhere he is preaching. Anything is
Mataji.
possible. Hmm.
That's what I was thinking, Mataji. As you said, he empowered Idanand Goswami Maharaj. I was just thinking, a person who is like coming from a different background, learning Sanskrit, and
Hmm.
then translating as good as what Prabhupada has did. It's really commendable, right? Because like a person who has no background of like initially when coming to before in touch with Srila Prabhupada, he has no background about Krishna. Generally, we Indian know from childhood who is Krishna, who is Rama, and then he
Hmm.
learned Sanskrit. Then he translated to that level, as you were
Hmm.
mentioning. Like we don't see any difference from 10th canto onwards. So that's really commendable, Mataji. Thank you,
Yes,
Mataji.
I told.
Mataji, Hare Krishna, Indulekha here.
Haribol, yes, Indu.
Mataji, I heard once Prabhupada saying that in his previous birth he was a doctor. And he said that he had done some very nice bhakti and all, because of
Hmm.
which he was born to an aristocratic and a rich family like his father's this thing. And in this life, not for a moment, even while awake or asleep, he has ever forgotten Krishna, not even for a moment.
Hmm.
So when he said that he was in the form of a doctor in his previous birth, that time also can we think that time also he was there to do some audariya, some giving out some mercy in that birth also?
Yeah, certainly. Prabhupada is a Nitya Siddha devotee. He is not a sadhana Siddha even. Nitya Siddha devotee. So even he might have been here for many lifetimes also, that doesn't make any difference. He is pure. He is a pure Nitya Siddha devotee. He is not ordinary.
Which means that he must be around us even now to do some uddhara for some people. He may just manifest somewhere. It can happen that he is here also and in some other world also simultaneously.
Yes, of course. Prabhupada is there, very much here. He is aware of everything, and he is very much aware, like the Paramatma, because he has been here and he is responsible for this earth, to deliver this earth. And that is why, even though we are not direct disciples of him, we can feel his mercy as as a grandfather guru, helping us, most compassionate. If you pray to Prabhupada, he will help us. Also, Prabhupada, he is our Siksha Guru. But his Diksha Guru, he is our grandfather only, and so he is even more merciful. Grandparents, Guru Maharaj also said, grandparents are more merciful than parents, because parents are always correcting and telling, don't do this, that. They are more involved in that. Whereas grandparents are only giving cookies and all that. So he said, Prabhupada, and yes, we can get his mercy. He's very much here. He's aware of everything we are doing. Definitely. And his photo, if you pray to his photo or offer it, definitely it goes to him. Even though now his form has changed, Prabhupada is not in that form. Wherever he is in a very beautiful form. I mean, this form is also beautiful, but I'm saying it is like an ordinary, like our human form. Now he is no longer in that form, but still, for us, he can manifest in that form. So that is an eternal form, even though it is not an eternal form also, but it became eternal because anytime he can take that form, because it's transcendental. Right.
Mataji, can I take this opportunity to share two things about
Mm.
Prabhupada?
Yeah, sure.
Two experiences of mine.
Uh-huh. Yes, please.
This was about 5 years ago, Janmashtami. 2019 Janmashtami, I was in Mumbai, and the new temple of Kharghar was being done. So there was it was Janmashtami and lot of crowd and everything, you know. So because the small temple, it was not really manageable that way. Though they were doing good job, but then it was not like, you know, every darshanarthi could not go. And so I was in Mumbai for a chance and I was like, I wanted to go and desperately pray and all that, but I was not able to go anywhere near the deities, you know. And it was making me so upset because every time I was trying to go and all, something or the other thing was obstructing, and the security people will not let me go and all that. And this was the first time that I was away from Radha Govindji in Ahmedabad. So I was missing them also, and at the same time, you know, I was not able to go there and have darshan also properly. So I was getting very upset, and I was almost into tears. Then I just prayed to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, please let me into, you know, have nice proper darshan. I did not complete my prayer, and that same security who was, you know, warding me off said, "Come inside and have the darshan first, and just move fatafat karke." And then so I was like, even before the prayer was answered, I mean, prayer was finished, Prabhupada did that because I had been struggling there for quite some time, you know, getting through this side and that side and all that. So the moment the prayer was, I mean, it just happened at that very moment. And then the next day, when I was into Prabhupada's Avirbhav Day, I have never been able, I never used to stand up to, you know, glorify, because there were always seniors before me, so I would like shy away from standing and glorifying and all that. But that day I took an opportunity then to, you know, speak this out. I took some strength to speak this in the public. And so Prabhupada answers through various ways, is like, even before we do, like you said, a grandfather to a grandchild, you know, this is instant one with me. The second thing was, one time, like, he came into the dreams wherein, you know, I was like, it was some occasion, and it was like very few disciples of Prabhupada, like there were only 5 or 7 Matajis of his time, you know, and I was one of them, and we were preparing because the strength was very little. Prabhupada was sitting on his asana, and he was trying to, you know, supervise what we Matajis were doing, like that. So I went and I was like trying to churn something. It was a milk and a water kind of a thing where I was churning something, and all of a sudden, because Prabhupada was there, I was a little, you know, very conscious and all that. So the moment I switched on that churning machine, what happened was that the water came out, and so it was separating the water and the milk. So then I immediately switched it off, and then I looked at Prabhupada a little, you know, afraid, like that. Then Prabhupada was on his asana with his one leg top and one leg bottom, like how he used to sit, no, with a folded leg. So then he told me, okay, okay, don't worry, you keep trying it, because only when you practice you will be able to, be perfect. So keep trying, never mind. Like, he was assuring me of that. So 2 times I had such very close, intimate, sort of realization about Prabhupada.
Yes,
Hare Krishna.
very nice. Thank you for sharing. Induleka is from Ahmedabad. So welcome her. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure many others also might have such experiences or realizations of Prabhupada. He's very much here, and even by reading his books, we feel so connected with him, isn't it? We feel as if we know Prabhupada. We've not seen him, we've never spoken to him, but simply by reading the books, we feel so connected. We think we know about Prabhupada. We don't feel we are, oh, I don't know him, isn't it? So he said, I will live in my books. And if you read his books every day, then in the beginning, when I used to read his books, I used to get in his dreams. So that is how we connect with Prabhupada, through, reading his books and doing all his everything. If we are following our guru, that is also, Prabhupada is very happy. There are 1 or 2 devotees who said, who told me that Gopal Krishna Maharaj's disciple, he was there in Vrindavan in the Samadhi of Prabhupada. And then he, he spoke to someone. He spoke to Gop. No, I don't know. He turned and he saw that Prabhupada was there. And he told him, it seems, whose disciple are you? So he said, Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So he said, oh, you're very fortunate. He's a pure devotee. So you follow all his things. And he said and went away. So in one of these, glorifications, somebody revealed one of his disciples. So like that, Prabhupada is also in that same form. He came in his samadhi and told him that you worship your guru like that. So he is very, very much here with us. Yeah. That is the amazing thing about Christ.
Mataji, if in our full consciousness, if we somehow feel his presence, is it part of a hallucination, or it can also be a reality?
It is reality. It is true. I mean, if you're feeling in your heart and you feel great happiness, mental things cannot give you happiness. Mental things, intellectually, you'll feel. Intellectually, you can think, yeah, Prabhupada is here and all that because the Shastra says so, because the Guru says so. That is intellectual understanding. But if you're feeling in your heart great happiness and conviction, then that is true. That is not hallucination.
Because once about 10-11 years ago, Indradyumna Maharaj had come here with all his team, his big this thing, and we had a function over here, and I came a little late from the office, and then I went straight to the place where the program was being conducted. It's a big this thing. So when I entered and I stood there, all of a sudden, like, I mean, I was very pretty new to Krishna consciousness, and I did not have all this Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj and all that was not much into my system that time. And I was standing there wanting to get a seat or have a close, and all of a sudden, Mataji, I had such a huge aura of Prabhupada and his presence there, like, and then I could not speak this to anybody because I was quite new that time, and Prabhupada and, like I said, Guru Maharaj and all that, so these concepts were not synced. I had not got into it so much. But then I was standing there, and all I could feel, he was standing there with a danda there, and I was like, I did not know whether I should move or I should just stand there or do what, like, that was a feeling at that very moment. And then so that's what I'm saying. So is that kind of a hallucination, or could that be a true thing? Because Prabhupada's disciple is doing huge services around, so how
You
do we
felt his presence.
Yes, I felt his presence, that he was standing in his dhoti and kurta and with a stick that he usually stands with. So that it was like a breeze of aura of him around, close to me, next to me, like.
Yeah, why not? Just like I told you, that disciple actually saw Prabhupada and he came and spoke to him. So your feeling his presence is also must be real. When you can see him and speak to him, why not feel his presence?
But
Isn't it?
Mataji, I was not into. I was very
That
new.
is not the thing. He maybe because he was giving extra mercy. Because you're newly coming and he wanted to make you, because nobody else was probably there to do it. Everyone was busy. So he asked you to come. So no, he didn't speak to you. He just, what did he say?
No, he
Internally,
didn't speak to me. I felt his presence next to me.
So that is to increase the faith. I mean, yeah, we don't know. See, so many spiritual personalities are all around us. They are watching us. If we are fortunate, some days we may see them. But they are here. Like Narada Muni came so many times for Prabhupada's lectures and all that. And he even took part in Rath Yatra and all that. So even those personalities can come. Good morning.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅದೇ ಕಾರ್ ಇಕ್ಕಿದಾರಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪೇಂಟ್ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಒಂದು ದಿವಸ ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಹಾಕಿದಾರಲ್ಲ.
Okay. some this thing they have to make some adjustments on the roof. They're asking today also to park the car elsewhere.
What time?
Now,
Why? Last time they made it this thing.
yeah, so that is what I mean. It's a wonderful thing. That's why more we should, because they said that sometimes, in even in Vrindavan, Radha Damodar temple, you can feel the presence of Rupa Goswami, isn't it? And then they said, and Prabhupada's room, you really feel Prabhupada is sitting there. We feel his presence very much, isn't it? And there you can get many instructions, blessings, so many things. So it is just that if we pray very much to Prabhupada, he will reciprocate in so many ways. Once also for me in Mayapur Dham, I was feeling very bad that day because so many things were going wrong, and somehow I was feeling very, somehow, sort of, I felt, what's the use and all that. And I was praying to Prabhupada, I don't feel like, eh, something I was telling him, I'm not interested or whatever. I was feeling very dejected. And it was a big crowded room in Mayapur. This Guru Puja was just going on and people were just offering flowers and coming. And suddenly, one devotee came from Prabhupada's altar, Brahmachari, and he gave a garland to me and he said, this is from Prabhupada. Then I thought, oh my God, Prabhupada is trying to cheer me up. Don't feel bad. So then, I thought, okay, that was enough. So he is very, very reciprocal. So many people have experienced in so many ways. Prabhupada is there. So we are very, very fortunate that we have so many personalities to help us. Imagine one devotee in which place? Toronto. She was telling in Canada, she told me that in the night, one day somebody touched her and woke her up for early, getting up early. And she opened up and she saw Advaita Acharya. I said, you're so fortunate. Advaita Acharya is personally coming to wake you up. So that is all in the faraway places because they need more mercy. I mean, here we are right here in India, holy place. But so they get more mercy over there. Here, if Advaita Acharya were to wake up, we'll jump out of the bed and say, okay, we'll be so happy, isn't it? So like that, they're all around the place. They're all anxious to deliver us. How much we are anxious to deliver all the people who are in Maya, how much they must be anxious. We are all, okay, at least we started chanting and doing something. They must be very eager. When will these souls become mature and be ready to come back? When will they do nice service for Krishna? They must be all anxiously looking at us. So definitely our prayers will have effect. It is not imaginary. Neither are their mercies imaginary. Thank you for sharing, Indu.
Thank you, Mataji, for giving this opportunity, because sometimes we don't, we're very shy or we are not in the right place to share. So because this happened about Prabhupada, I took this opportunity to share. Thank you, Mata.